This case involves David E. Taylor, 53, a self-proclaimed apostle and leader of the Kingdom of God Global Church, KOGGC, formerly Joshua Media Ministries. It was called Joshua Media Ministries International, or JMMI. And Michelle Brannon, 56, the organization's executive director. They face federal charges in the Eastern District of Michigan for allegedly operating a forced labor and money laundering conspiracy that exploited dozens of victims across Michigan, Florida, Texas, and Missouri. So, just know what we'll be discussing today. Now, welcome to all my moderators, patrons, members, subscribers. Any locals in chat? The hub of this case, I guess, would be in Michigan, but it also, I mean, there's 9 different, I would say, home bases that they had, and many arrests, many areas that operated call centers, 2 arrests so far, right, of the organizers. Terry Lynn Rocks, thank you for being a member for 29 months. You said, hey, everyone. Jenny Jan said, self-proclaimed apostle equals big red flag. Yes. So before we dive into what they're accused of doing, I'm quickly going to show you a clip so that you can see who we're dealing with here. Okay, so this is the main dude, the self-proclaimed apostle. He says in his teens he was a gangster. And then, well, I'll show you his little bio later. But oh my word. Let's just give you a little taste of who this guy is and how he talked to his audience.
This, the 14th chapter, the 4th verse and the 25th verse. I've heard Christians say to me now, oh, that David E. Taylor, what he's walking in is spooky, it's witchcraft. They say we are disturbed by his signs and wonders. Yeah, I hope you are.
Yes, we are. And it goes on, but I'll leave it at that for now. I want to show you one other clip of the female involved in this case. Here we go.
We want to give everybody, an opportunity. First of all, we have a lot of people who pay their tithes, but even more so, listen, don't get clammed up whenever people talk about money, or ministers talk about money, or pastors, especially here in God's kingdom where it's the best ground on earth. You should be excited. Anytime there's that door open, the window of heaven is open, you should be running to pay an offering and a tithe. You should go here because your seed is getting planted in the best place on earth. Because no matter what, every single day, like Apostle says, we reap what we sow. You sow to something, you're going to reap something.
Yeah, you do. You're reaping almost 60 plus years in prison if you get convicted of what you've been charged with. So all of this exploitation of believers that were part of their organization. Whoa, let me quickly show you just an example of what they put their money in. And this is one of 9 properties. Okay, $9 million property, where inside people lived there that were subjected to horrendous conditions, allegedly according to the indictment, and they had to do free forced labor. They were exploited. They were punished. They were controlled. Yeah, it was operated like a cult. So all of that money shaming that woman was doing, and it goes on and on. I'll link those for you if you really want to watch it. But I was like rolling my eyes in doing this research. I'm like, wow, you're really guilt tripping everyone, huh? And this is one example of where they put that money. She said you're going to put it in the best place on earth, and that God gives you your job so that you can earn money, and you better pay up. He expects. And I'm like, look what they did with it. They were living very lavish lives, multiple cars. Once they had arrested them, it's like multiple luxury cars, still some with bows on it. Lifelike statues that are worth, I don't know, thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, what the heck, man? Micah said, yeah, let's not talk about money. Ask for money. And in the worst way. She asked for it in the worst way. Oh my word. I'm going to show you one more. We're going to continue. Just look at this. Look how she goes on. Okay.
Don't matter what it is. You say something out your mouth, you're going to reap that out your mouth.
Yes.
If you sow to the wind, Apostle says you reap a whirlwind. That's in Isaiah. So no matter what you do, you will reap something. But how great of an opportunity. God says, you know what? This is a sign of you to show me intimacy and be willing to trust me in all things. Too many times people get fickle, funny about their money. They're like, oh man, okay, there it goes. You get uncomfortable. That's a devil. If you get any kind of uncomfortable, you feel any kind of squirming in you, it's a devil. You need to rebuke it and keep going because he's trying to keep you from your blessing.
Damn. Like to watch this in hindsight. My word. Like you're just keeping yourself from your blessing. It's that devil, you know? You need to cough up. And after that, she literally is like, okay, pass the baskets. Everybody, put your money in. She's now successfully shamed everyone, being like, you better put money in. Otherwise, you're not faithful. Wow. And to think what they did with it, shame. There's actually a lot of victims in this case, if you think about that. And them now having to realize what was actually going on with the money that they were giving so kindly, right? Now, okay, so we've gone over the overview of who this involves, David E. Taylor and Michelle Brannon. And so the scheme reportedly generated approximately $50 million in donations since 2014, which prosecutors claim funded luxury properties, vehicles, recreational items, while victims endured physical and psychological abuse, sleep deprivation, and unpaid labor at call centers, and as Taylor's personal armor bearers. We're going to get into more detail about that when we read the indictment. Both face up to 60 plus years in prison if convicted on all counts, including conspiracy to commit forced labor, multiple counts of forced labor, also money laundering and conspiracy. So we're going to go over that indictment and look at all the counts and look at the details of that once we get through this quick overview. The timeline: from April 2013, David E. Taylor opened the first call center. He operated multiple call centers where he had people working for him for free to get donations in the whole time to this kingdom of God. Full time from his, if we look at him, grifting, full-time exploitation, and yet also using those workers and punishing them if they didn't raise the funds and meet the goals that he wanted met daily. So he opened that first one in Taylor, Michigan, to solicit donations for what would become KOGGC or JMMI. This marks the start of the alleged forced labor scheme, with victims coerced into unpaid work under threats of punishment, including public humiliation, food restrictions, and divine judgment. In 2014, call centers were then opened. He expanded in Missouri, Florida, and Texas. Victims are allegedly forced to misrepresent donations as funding charitable works, example, water wells abroad. Well, David and Michelle controlled the victims' daily lives, including sleep, food, and movement. In 2015, David actually faced legal scrutiny in a deposition over misuse of donations. For example, he said he upgraded a Mercedes-Benz with $50,000 from the church's money. So they were like, that's it's a bit odd, hey? But there were no charges that resulted from this, which is really scary to think that from 2015 to present day, he just carried on and on. Him and her, allegedly. July 23rd of 2025. Yes, we fast forward from 2015 to July 23rd of 2025. A decade more of that. A federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Michigan returns a sealed 10-count indictment against David Taylor, 8 counts of forced labor plus conspiracy charges, and Michelle Brannon, 6 counts of forced labor plus conspiracy charges. The scheme is alleged to have continued through at least July of 2025. On August 27th of 2025, the indictment was unsealed, and we're going to read it today. It's really shocking. And then on the same day, David E. Taylor was arrested at a hotel in Durham, North Carolina, and Michelle was arrested in Tampa, Florida. So I've got a clip to show you of that as well.
Chris, this is a very active scene here behind me. I'm told that the FBI raided this building here behind me around 5 or 6 in the morning. And take a look, several hours later, they are still here sifting through lots of evidence. And this is a very odd story when you hear the details. We're talking about two people who are self-proclaimed religious leaders, and we're still gathering more information about the connection here in Durham. But this is what we know right now. David Taylor, a man was arrested here in Durham, and Michelle Brannon in Tampa, Florida. Federal indictments accuse the two of receiving roughly $50 million in donations to their religious organization since 2014, largely through forced labor practices in call centers across the country. Their church, known as the Kingdom of God Global Church and formerly the Joshua Media Ministries International, with Taylor referring to himself as an apostle and also Jesus' best friend, claiming to have had multiple face-to-face encounters with God. Meanwhile, he's accused of forcing people to work in call centers in Michigan, Florida, Texas, and Missouri. And the indictment says he set unattainable goals, punishing those folks by public humiliation, food and shelter restrictions, physical assaults, and more. And while also having personal servants to fulfill his demands round the clock, including transportation of women to his locations, having them take Plan B. And all of this is part of what the FBI is calling a nationwide takedown of their forced labor organization. So they will be out here for a while. We're still trying to learn what the connection is to Durham and why Taylor was here in the first place. As soon as we get any of that information, we'll bring it to you as soon as possible.
Yes, what was David E. Taylor doing in Durham, North Carolina in hotel? And also, did you hear that? Making sure that the women he would transport to his, kingdom would be taking Plan B, which is a contraception, by the way. So there was probably sexual exploitation as well. They're not charged with it, but if I just hear that, I'm like, oh my goodness. All right, and there's one other clip where they show the two properties because David was arrested in a hotel in Durham, North Carolina, and Michelle was arrested in Tampa, Florida at that $9 million property. So here they show it side by side.
You're looking at two FBI raids in two states, North Carolina and Florida, that investigators say led to the arrest of two self-professed religious leaders and their connection to the Kingdom of God Global Church. Federal investigators say David Taylor, who refers to himself as apostle and Jesus' best friend, and his second in command, Michelle Brannon, lured people in nationwide with promises to fulfill their spiritual hunger and work as unpaid phone solicitors at call centers to serve as Taylor's arm bearers in Michigan, Missouri, Texas, and even here in Florida, including Tampa and Ocala. On Wednesday, Taylor was arrested in Durham, North Carolina, while Brannon in Tampa. This indictment filed in July.
We're going to be reading through that indictment together. So let's just leave it at that for now, and we will get to it. Okay, so there you know the day that they were arrested as well and what the case is about so far. And look at the mugshots. Oh, my. Wow. Okay, so the FBI raids then occurred nationwide even after the arrests, including a Houston hotel owned by the church, ministry houses in multiple states, and properties in Durham and Tampa. Victims are identified in Michigan, Florida, Texas, and Missouri. On August 28th of 2025, they were their initial court. They both had their initial court appearances. David E. Taylor in federal court in Durham, North Carolina, and Michelle Brannon in federal court in Tampa, Florida. Both waived extradition and are held pending transfer to Michigan. On October 1st of 2025, which is today, they have bond hearings. And so it looks like Michelle's already had hers. When I just read up on this, I put all my sources in the description box. And what they said was they are both awaiting extradition to Michigan still. Michelle Brannon's attorney said that she had suffered a heart attack while in custody in Florida. I wonder if that's true. I don't know. They would have to obviously check the medical records. Interesting. And so the judge was set to release her on bond, subject to several conditions. However, the prosecution immediately appealed and requested a stay of the ruling, which was later granted. The judge said the prosecutors weren't specific enough as to why she would be a danger if she was released on bond. And so if the bond is upheld, Michelle Brannon would be released under these conditions, a $10,000 unsecured bond. That's not a lot. She would, you know what I mean? Like, damn, she's definitely going to get out, isn't she? Okay, she would be placed on house arrest in Northville with a GPS monitor. She is to have no contact directly or indirectly with any church members. Another condition is that she's to turn in her US passport, which she's already done. So she can't go to Vietnam like Donna Adelson tried to. Now, coercive control, just so that you know to look out for this as we read the indictment, because all the signs are there, is a pattern of behavior used to dominate, manipulate, and intimidate any individual or a group, often in a way that erodes their autonomy, their self-esteem, and the ability to make independent decisions. It's commonly associated with domestic abuse, but it can also occur in other contexts, such as cults, trafficking, or exploitative organizations like the one alleged in this case against David E. Taylor and Michelle Brannon. So some key components to look out for would be isolation, cutting victims off from family, friends, or external support to increase dependence. In the Taylor Brannon case, victims were allegedly isolated in church-controlled properties with restricted movement. Then, intimidation and threats, using fear to enforce compliance, such as threats of divine punishment, public humiliation, or physical harm. Court documents cite Taylor and Brannon threatening workers with divine judgment or punishments like cold water dousing. So yeah, they went all out. They ticked just about every box of coercive control, which is something common in cult-like activity as well. Manipulation and gaslighting, undermining the victim's sense of reality or self-worth to make them doubt their perceptions. Taylor allegedly posed as God's best friend to lure victims, while Michelle Brannon's text enforced strict compliance, and we'll see that in the indictment. Then control of daily life, micromanaging aspects like sleep, food, or finances. In this case, victims faced sleep deprivation, restricted diets, and were coerced into fraudulently obtaining EBT or SNAP benefits for church use. Economic abuse, controlling victims' access to money or resources. The indictment alleges that Taylor and Brannon forced unpaid labor at call centers while diverting $50 million in donations for personal luxuries. Ether Bunny, thank you for being a member for 26 months. You said so many times crime is committed in the name of religion, which is why I'd like to call this type of activity, using religion as the facade for coercive control. You know, I like to just show us this because these are the elements of coercive control, especially in this case, and they did all of this. So it would be signs to look out for if one is experiencing something like that you don't have to doubt yourself, you know what I mean? That it is coercive control, and it's, best to get out of there if one can, because a lot of people get trapped in these scenarios, which is so sad as well. Then economic abuse, we read through that, and then surveillance and monitoring, constant oversight to ensure compliance. Victims in the KOGGC were reportedly monitored with armor bearers enforcing Taylor's rules. Wow. Okay, so we've got that. Now, I've got, let me just see what this is. Okay, wait, I just want to see the two clips. Okay, no, that's, oh yeah, wait. No, I think I've shown you all the clips I want to. So now what I want to do is we're going to read this 23-page indictment. So it's a little lengthy, but well worth it because it's got a lot of details about this case. So I feel like you'll know quite a lot about the case once we've read through this. So are you ready? If you are new here, welcome. We do like documents over here, don't we? Okay, so let's go here. There we go. So now we're on page 1 of 23. It says United States District Court, Eastern District of Michigan, Southern Division, United States of America, plaintiff versus D1, David Taylor, and D2, Michelle Brannon, defendants. Violations, conspiracy to commit forced labor, and money laundering conspiracy. I won't be surprised if they do add other charges to this later, but this is it for now. And they said it was a long investigation because it's difficult to prove this, especially if the victims are trapped in these mansions, but with forced labor and terrible conditions. You know, it was difficult work for the detectives and then the prosecutors to actually have this indictment. So they've done amazing work, and they said they've been looking at this for years, trying to, especially since those first 2015 depositions. They've been monitoring the situation for a long time and trying to actually get them indicted, get them arrested, and hopefully get them fully prosecuted, which both will face 60 plus years of time in prison if convicted. Okay, the grand jury charges general allegations at all times relevant to this indictment. 1. Kingdom of God Global Church, KOGGC, formerly known as Joshua Media Ministries International, JMMI, is an organization led by David E. Taylor. 2. Michelle Brannon is the executive director of KOGGC. 3. Brannon assists Taylor in managing KOGGC and carries out Taylor's orders. So remember Taylor, when they refer to Taylor, it's David E. Taylor, the male self-proclaimed apostle, self-proclaimed best friend of Jesus. Has face-to-face conversations with him is what he tells people, and he's written over 260 books. Yeah, okay, so Taylor is David E. Taylor, Brannon is Michelle Brannon, right? Do you want pictures of them? Are you okay? Can you remember their faces? Let me do it like this, hold on. Yeah, these two. Let's put them just here so you could just remember who they are and what the heck they look like. There they are. Let's put them there. Okay, those are the two we're talking about. So, it says Taylor's orders. Taylor calls himself apostle, self-proclaimed, okay, and Jesus' best friend. He claims he has had multiple face-to-face encounters with God and that God has given him the keys to the kingdom on earth. Damn, you better fight Chad Dable for that, hey? Taylor established his first organized call center at 20320 Superior Road in Taylor, Michigan. The purpose of the call centers was to use phone solicitors to raise money from donors, purportedly to support the operations and ministry of KOGGC. Taylor has since opened and operated call centers in other locations in the United States, including in Missouri, Florida, and Texas. I just want to say that if anyone has been a victim of David E. Taylor and Michelle Brannon, if you were, part of these organizations or churches, it's not your fault. Coercive controllers like this are very savvy at what they do. They're very good at what they do, unfortunately. And they pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes and know that there is recovery possible, right? Because it can be really almost confusing, I would say, would be the word. If people are like, wait, what? Like it was like a leader or leaders that you looked up to and you believed what they said. And now you find out, whoa, not only is this all, it's criminal, but it's also all a lie. And when you now see what they were actually doing, ooh, man, that's got to be terrible. Now, Taylor recruits individuals from across the country to work as phone solicitors at his call centers. Each day, his call center workers are instructed to make a specific number of calls or raise a specific dollar amount. Call center workers are unpaid. Shame, oh my word. KOGGC receive millions of dollars in donations each year. David E. Taylor uses these donations to support an extravagant personal lifestyle, including a series of residences, airline tickets, personal vehicles, and luxury goods. I think that's also a huge red flag. There's often cases like this, not always, but often in this type of, coercive control, culty-like, setup, where you just see like luxury vehicles, luxury like mansions, it's private jets and all that. I would say that's a red flag, right? A big one. Okay, so KOGGC has received approximately $50 million in donations since 2014, and the workers didn't get a cent of that. Taylor also recruits individuals to work as his armor bearers. Armor bearers work as Taylor's personal servants. I just want to roll my eyes at all times, okay? When I just think of this guy and the story that he sold to these poor people, whew, I'm going to get snarky. I can feel it. Oh, you recruited armor bearers and worked as Taylor's personal servants by fulfilling Taylor's demands. I don't even want to know what that all entailed. Taylor demanded that his armor bearers provide food for him. Sir, I thought you are the man, the head of the kingdom. Don't you provide the food to everyone? What do you mean? But he's like, they will provide food for him. They will transport him, maintain his houses and cars, transport women from ministry houses, airports, and other locations to Taylor's location, and ensure the women transported to Taylor took Plan B emergency contraceptives. Oh my word. armor bearers, like call center workers, are unpaid. If a call center worker or armor bearer does not fulfill Taylor's goals or disobeys an order, that individual is punished. Punishment includes humiliation, sleep deprivation, forced repentance, additional work, food restrictions, physical assaults, and threats of divine judgment in the form of sickness, accidents, death, and eternal damnation. Taylor regularly claims that if an individual fails to obey his orders and commands, they are defying God and will suffer in hell. Count 1, conspiracy to commit forced labor. And this is for David Taylor and Michelle Brannon. The general allegations are included in this count. Conspiracy. On or about April of 2013 and continuing through on or about July of 2025, in the Eastern District of Michigan and elsewhere, the defendants, David Taylor and Michelle Brannon, and others known and unknown to the grand jury, did knowingly conspire and agree with each other to provide and obtain the labor and services of one or more persons by any means of, and by any combination of the following means. 1. By means of force, threats of force, physical restraint, and threats of physical restraint to that person and another person. 2. By means of serious harm and threats of serious harm to that person and another person. 3. By means of the abuse and threatened abuse of law and legal process. Really? You're going to threaten all the spiritual stuff and the law? Just throw away the key. Whoa. And by means of any scheme, plan, and pattern intended to cause the person to believe that if the person did not perform such labor and services, that person and another person would suffer serious harm and physical restraint in violation of 18 USC 1594B. Please like and share, not because you like the topic, but maybe you want other people to learn about this information, the patterns of coercive control. I think it's pretty important lessons as well. Yeah, just about this case. So the object of the conspiracy. The object of the conspiracy was for the defendants and others known and unknown to the grand jury to obtain the uncompensated labor and services of at least one victim in the Eastern District of Michigan and elsewhere. The manner and means of the conspiracy. The defendants controlled practically every aspect of the daily living of the call center workers and armor bearers, hereafter referred to collectively as victims. Accurate, yes? Taylor created rules to control the victims, and Brannon enforced Taylor's rules. Taylor and Brannon demanded that victims cut off any family or friends that questioned Taylor or the righteousness of KOGGC. Okay, that's red flag number 1. Isolation, right? Taylor and Brannon demanded that full-time staff give up any outside employment. Victims slept in the call center facility or in a ministry house. The call centers and ministry properties were located at the following addresses. Just a YouTube disclaimer, this is public record. I'm not sharing anything I'm not supposed to be sharing. It's call centers that were established in this case, which is a criminal case. Federal. Taylor and Brannon prohibited dating. Oh my word, I'm just going like the audacity of these two idiots. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can't date either. You can't have family or friends. Okay? You cannot have other jobs. Oh, you also can't date. You belong to us now. Wow. And you work for free? Shame. So it says Taylor and Brannon prohibited dating within KOGGC and exercised strict control over the victims' personal lives. Taylor and Brannon demanded that victims apply for a government-funded electronic benefits transfer EBT card, claiming to be homeless, and then give the card to Taylor and Brannon or to KOGGC staff members who reported to Taylor and Brannon. That's very calculated. Taylor and Brannon used the EBT government funds to purchase food for the KOGGC staff. So even though they raised approximately $50 million since 2014 and lived a very lavish lifestyle, buying all these properties, cars, like it's really in your face lavish. Whoa, they wouldn't even spare a percentage of that to feed the victims that they were exploiting, allegedly, according to this indictment. Right? They were like, no, you go and get your EBT government funds card and they will feed you with that. Stefan says, wow, 9 call centers for over 10 years. I bet they made more than 50 million. I think so too, right? I think so too. It's probably scary what they actually made. So it says the government money obtained and spent by Taylor and Brannon included funds from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, which is a federal program that provides nutrition benefits to low-income individuals and families to help them purchase food. Taylor established working groups within KOGGC, such as Facebook team, a finance team, a call center team, and a music team. However, almost all victims were expected to participate in the call center in some capacity to assist in bringing in monetary donations. David E. Taylor used a Facebook team which sent mass messaging, I would call that spamming, okay, to encourage people to call the call center. To encourage donations, Taylor and Brannon instructed the victims to falsely state that the donated funds would be spent on charitable work, such as providing water wells for impoverished communities overseas or supporting victims of human trafficking. Wow. And now the allegations are that they were involved in human trafficking. Right? That's not what part of these charges on this indictment. It's forced labor. But they could be added at some point. So to think really of a wolf in sheep's clothing here, damn, it was like in their face. Like, yeah, we're going to help these communities, which I'm sure they didn't help not one bit. Not at all. Taylor set unobtainable monetary daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly donation goals for his victims. Taylor and Brannon regularly punished the victims who did not meet the required monetary donation quota for the day. Taylor and Brannon required the victims to work long hours without pay in the call centers or to perform other services for Taylor. Taylor required victims to follow the orders he created and communicated. If victims disobeyed an order, Taylor and Brannon punished the victim. The defendants regularly conducted meetings with large groups of members to rebuke and publicly humiliate the victims who disobeyed. Rebuking of a victim included yelling and humiliation, sometimes requiring the victim to get on their knees in an attitude of repentance, physical assaults, and threats of further physical violence. Rebukings range from several minutes to several hours. Punishments included additional work, food restrictions, shelter restrictions, psychological abuse, sleep deprivation, physical assault, and threats of spiritual damnation. Taylor and Brannon frequently communicated orders and punishments via text messages. They're going to get you. Celebrate is going to get you. Uncle Google's going to get you. Digital forensic examiners. Yeah, you're screwed now. They saw your text messages. I mean, I think a lot of this would also come from the victims actually finally talking, right? I don't mean finally like they were waiting long. I just mean finally the police were able to do something and to arrest these two. And then to go in there and speak to the victims who were clearly in these properties as well and be like, what was going on here? You know, they've been arrested, so do tell us. It can help the case. So I'm sure some of this is from victims' accounts and others is going to be, yeah, the digital forensic data. The text messages received by victims included the following messages. On or about October 6th of 2020 at 5:31 a.m., David E. Taylor, Brannon. Why did I just say David E. Taylor? I'm like, David did the following. We'll get to him. Michelle Brannon sent a text message to several members of the media team, including V3, victim 3, stating, media team, no going to sleep until the mosaic video is done. Wow, okay. On or about May 5th of 2021 at 12:26 a.m., Taylor texted to DG, his current armor bearer, tasked with communicating his orders to KOGGC staff whose identity is known to the grand jury, you'll have to raise $164K today. Each hour you fall behind, consequences will start. We will mess with the food. You will fast from the regular food or abstain for a while normally. As of now, there's a 21-day peanut butter and jelly regimen like before. Those who do not push in their calls individually and as a team with the right amount of people and closing numbers at 6 p.m., they don't eat dinner at all. If they do good afterward this time, then at the end of the night, they may get a snack before bed, but not much. And this regimen will go on every day for 21 days until they obey. Take away the food. There will be other consequences. We must make them fast and pray. Whoa, holy crap. Okay, so on about September 11th of 2021 at 3:55 a.m., Taylor, now this is David E. Taylor, texted to KOGGC victim DG. Those in the top 9 that don't do well will stay up and close and stay on top of the delinquents. Put the pressure of them not having their time off, nor food, they will fast. Oh, he's calling people delinquents, are you? Can we call him one? Oh my word. Don't get us snarky now. Yeah, Stefan's like, 164K? It's very specific. Why did they want that specific amount? What did they want to purchase next? Oh my word. Okay, on about September 19th of 2021 at 9:10 p.m., Taylor texted to KOGGC victim DG, Michelle and top 9 closers, how is it in 5 hours you'll have only raised 6K? This is a marathon. You're not taking this serious enough. This has to stop. Nobody gets lunch or dinner. You all are going to press for another 5 hours. Make sure no one eats until these numbers change. If they don't change in the next 5 hours, you are going to work until 4 a.m. Now stand up and tell everyone they are not eating. Have they eaten? I hope not. Also that over the next 5 hours, if they don't make up for this, they are not going to bed tonight until 4 a.m. I can't wait for him to be in prison for 60 plus years. I hope the inmates can hear this indictment. Correctional officers, are you listening? You hear what he did there? I'm just saying, just make him do a lot of work. Set that man to work in the prison if he's ever convicted. For free, for a long time, forever, with no rewards whatsoever. Okay. Yeah, Stefan said, reminds me of the 144K followers for the Daybells, right? My goodness. Okay. So I'm just seeing what you guys are saying as well. Yeah, Debbie says, who the heck are they calling for donations at 4 a.m.? Well, maybe, where were they? Michigan. So I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Maybe they called internationally. And they're like, Europe is awake. Call them. I don't know. On or about September 19th of 2021 at 10:21 p.m., Taylor texted to KOGGC victim DG. Michelle and Kia, make them all stand and tell them if the punishment of 4 a.m. don't work, I'm going to make it worser and worser. Okay. Yeah, he sounds really educated. Okay, they are going to get their beds out of my house and sleep in the garage. Everyone piled in there. This ruthless boot camp is going to get worse and worse until they do what we are telling them. There will only be soup, bread, and water for all the degenerates every day. Nothing else. You see there again, I'm saying, correctional officers, you hear that? Wherever he might be going one day. Oh, soup, bread, and water for all the degenerates every day. Oh, you mean victims, your victim. On or about September 21st of 2021 at 3:52 a.m., Taylor texted to KOGGC victim DG. Let everyone know we have to raise at least 50K by 12 midnight. If this happens, he says 12 midnight. Yeah, 12 is midnight, but okay, by midnight, if this happens, the top 9 and those who did well can rest, but the others who didn't will stay up until 4 a.m. and study notes, and they will wake up at 8 to 9 a.m. If they don't do good the first 5 hours, 9 to 2 p.m., they will not get lunch, and for dinner, they will only have soup and salad and water. On or about September 28th of 2021, at 7:57 a.m., Taylor texted KOGGC victim DG, pour water on everyone's faces that's halfway sleeping and not working. Wake them up now. Yeah, that as well. Where she's going as well. Pour water on her face, oh my word. My next level of judgment tomorrow is that it won't be to just 4 a.m. It will be every hour you waste in the day will be added on past 4 a.m. Tell them all to stand now and you throw water on their faces, especially the people not doing anything or helping bring in money. You tell them, I don't care about them being sick. Yeah, they are in jail. People asking, they're in jail. Michelle Brannon might get out on bond though. That matter is pending. On or about October 27th of 2021 at 3:23 a.m., Taylor texted, so the man, David E. Taylor, texted to KOGGC victim DG, I can't be kind to you letting you start later and sleep in. I can't be kind with none of you. If this doesn't change in the next 2 hours, you're working until 4 a.m. and then getting up at 8 a.m. in the morning to start again. None of you, including top closers, will not be able to get away with not working and raising money that we need or meeting our goal when we are in a dire push. Dire push, $50 million, lots of properties of millions of dollars. What? Now, I don't care if you are tired. You've crossed the line. You're going to work all night and get up in the morning. I want all the names of those who are not helping with this push or doing their work or not showing change now. They are going to the homeless shelter. And this again is forced labor. That's what's alleged. They didn't get paid a cent for all this work. Taylor and Brannon used a group text that they called Military Boot Camp 5 Taylor to communicate with victims, including victim 2. In the group chat, Taylor and Brannon sent the following messages, among others. On or about March 10th of 2022 at 11:12 p.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "You are not going to bed tonight until you raise this $33K. Let's go." On or about March 15th of 2022 at 1:44 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "Point blank, if you don't work, you can't eat." On or about April 24th of 2022 at 9:04 p.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "Repent now, N-word. All of you get on your knees now and repent now. You have pushed God and I too far. I'm done. Everyone go into the Tampa garage tonight. This will never stop until you change completely." Whoa. On or about May 12th of 2022 at 6:39 p.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "Warning to the whole staff. It's too expensive for us to provide for the amount of people who won't learn to close. So I'm only buying enough for the few at this point who have applied the training and have learned to close. If you don't work effectively and learn closing like we told you, then you won't eat." On or about May 26th of 2022 at approximately 11:35 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "Warning from Apostle Michelle, deal out," is it Apostle Michelle? "Warning from Apostle Michelle, deal out consequences to all the closers that are not bringing in their amount. Garage in Tampa and take away food now. I want those in Ocala who are supposed to be doing their work but are not punished and out in the garage and their food taken away." On or about May 27th of 2022 at 7:20 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "Judgment. These numbers are bad. 7 of the top closers need to go in the garage in Tampa now. Also, I want food taken away. Michelle, deal out consequences to all the closers that are not bringing in their amount. Garage in Tampa and take away food now." Okay. On or about July 31st of 2022 at 12:01 a.m., Taylor texted to the group, including victim 2, "You are getting up at 8 a.m. also. I want cold water thrown on those who drag and won't get up. A big bucket of water. Michelle, enforce this." On or about October 19th of 2022 at 11:46 p.m., Brannon texted to the group, including victim 2, "From Apostle, warning. Tent and garage judgments starting tonight for 7 days. If after 7 to 14 days there's no change, it's the public shelter for 1 solid month." On or about October 20th of 2022 at 4:57 p.m., Michelle Brannon texted to the group, including victim 2, "Warning from Apostle. Top 6 your low numbers each day. It has to stop now. You will be punished constantly until you obey and train your heart and mind to obey the training." Taylor frequently conducted lengthy meetings in addition to the victims required to work in the call center and on other teams that resulted in victims not being able to sleep at night. During the meetings, which often lasted approximately 3 to 6 hours, Taylor demanded that victims raise more money, admonished victims for not meeting his monetary goals, explained that the power that God gave him, rebuked victims for disobedience, and cursed those who stopped working for him or spoke negatively about him. Due to the amount of work required and lengthy meetings, victims often operated in a state of sleep deprivation. The defendants required the victims to request permission to leave their housing or the call centers and controlled their access to transportation. The defendants rarely permitted victims to seek outside medical attention. The defendants often denied victims medical attention altogether. That is disgusting. Oh my goodness. Shauna, thanks for being a member for 33 months. You said, "First, I'm so proud to be a Grizzly, so very grateful for G and all you do. Second, in my opinion, this mirrors Scientology to a T, yet miscarriage still reigns." Yeah, well, this would this would mirror so many cult-like organizations, because coercive control is really the name of the game. You know, that's got all the same patterns, so it's absolutely terrible. Sure, in a long road of recovery, I'm sure these victims must be like, wait, what? Okay, so sleep deprivation, no access to, no medical attention at all if they needed it. In some instances, the defendants physically abused victims when Taylor was displeased with the actions or behavior of the victims. Taylor and Brannon told victims that if they leave KOGGC, they will be met with divine judgment in the form of physical harm and eternal damnation. So a lot of fear, you know, that they put on them. Taylor and Brannon instilled in the victims a fear of non-compliance and a fear of leaving Taylor's organization. Okay, so we on counts 2 through 9. We'll take a quick break from the document and I'll just show you a clip or two as well, which would be, let's see this clip right here. Wait, I just want to see where it starts here. Okay.
Caused by the two church leaders who saw their properties raided late last month. One of those properties was in Tampa's Avila community. David E. Taylor and Michelle Brannon remain in jail tonight facing federal charges. A woman who says she worked at one of Taylor's ministries spoke with Fox 13's Aaron Mesmer about her experience and her hopes for the victims she met.
God happened not only in my life, but in your life.
David E. Taylor was a self-proclaimed apostle.
Look at this!
Faith healer.
This is the church's greatest hour.
And regular host on worship shows. Leslie Portillo says her friend, Danielle Hendrick, called into the show in 2015.
She called in for prayer because at that time she was going through a medical condition.
Leslie says it wasn't long before they were recruited to do marketing for Taylor's company, Joshua Media Ministries International, which became the Kingdom of God Global Church. She even lived at Taylor's ministry in Michigan for several months, but she started noticing red flags.
I actually saw him get very verbally abusive towards one of the staff members to the point where he basically humiliated her.
Leslie, who now lives in Orlando, left the church after 3.5 years, but not before she got to know the 30 or so workers at the ministry. She says most were young, influential, and well connected to potentially bring in more recruits and more money. And she says, like her, they often held strong religious beliefs that Taylor was able to exploit.
He conditioned them to think a certain way. They all fell for it. We all did. We wanted to believe that it was a good place, a good person, but unfortunately it's not.
Leslie says she didn't realize what was truly going on until the FBI raided Taylor's properties. Authorities accuse him and the church's executive director, Michelle Brannon, of running call centers across the country, including one in Tampa's Avila neighborhood. Investigators say workers were often cut off from their families and forced to raise money for the church or face punishment.
He's literally destroyed marriages, affected people's lives, took people's time that you can't get back.
That includes Leslie, whose friend Danielle stayed with the church. Months later, Danielle passed away from cancer.
I can't get back that time with my best friend. Our friend was separated because I decided to disconnect and she decided to stay. So for the last few months of our friendship, we did not talk.
Taylor and Brannon, meanwhile, face human trafficking and money laundering charges. They're accused of using the $50 million raised for the church to fund their own lavish lifestyles while their employees worked for free. We still don't know exactly how many victims were rescued. Leslie hopes they, too, can fully break free.
I am praying for them, and my hope is that they know the truth and they get connected back to their families.
Shame, my goodness. Okay. So we've got that, and then I just want to see what this one, oh yeah, this channel right here is called Apostle David E. Taylor Cult Watch, JMMI. I certainly appreciate all the videos that they have. Like this one that says, David really does see the future.
I ain't in jail yet. And if I did go to jail, it's gonna rock.
Oh, okay. What, one more time.
I ain't in jail yet.
Yeah, you are now.
And if I did go to jail, it's gonna rock.
Are you sure it's gonna rock? I don't know if it's gonna rock, huh? Wow, and this was from, wait, let me just go back. They said September 3rd. September 3rd of 2025? Is that when it was uploaded, or when was it? I think that was, yeah. September 3rd, that's what it's dated as, 2025. My goodness. So just to show you as well, public records, part of the case, the property, for example, when there were these at least 9 call centers, David E. Taylor and Michelle Brannon, they had multiple properties. This is one of them that they lived in. And when you look at these pictures, oh my word. So while not paying all of those victims a cent for all their work, while punishing them, restricting the food and all of that, according to the indictment, this is how they were living. Okay. And they said that the workers, victims, slept in the call centers or in ministry houses, or they threatened to send them to homeless camps or to sleep in the garage or the tent, as you heard. So Stefan says it will be getting worser in jail, right? So just look at this property. Like, who do these people think they are to treat people like that? One, but then like, damn, the contrast of all of this. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a low-profile operation. They went all out, living a completely lavish, exploitative life. Look at it. Look at inside there. It's unbelievable. Sharon TH says, love this community. Thank you, G, and everyone for being amazing. Thank you so much for your support. So just picture this while you're reading what they then allegedly did to those victims who didn't earn anything, some working there for years. Some had worked there from the beginning. So let's call that a decade, right? Alyssa Henry says, all this under a tax-exempt status, right? I mean, damn, this is where Michelle Brannon was arrested from this property. And David E. Taylor was arrested at a hotel in North Carolina, but I mean, he lived here too, apparently. Sure, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Okay. So now we go back to the document, shall we? Go back to the document and continue reading about these horrific allegations. We are on page 15 of 23, so it's not long to go now. And let's just go like this quickly. I just want to see if I missed anything. Yeah, in this document as well, they are going to outline that all of those assets that they had acquired, they won't own them anymore. They're going to have to give it to the feds. So, yeah, they're screwed. I'm sure that'll just bring out the venom in them, isn't it? Wow. So counts 2 through 9. Here we go. Forced labor. The general allegations and paragraphs 1748 are included in this count, beginning on or about the dates listed below and continuing through on or about the corresponding dates indicated below. In the Eastern District of Michigan and elsewhere, the below named defendants and others known and unknown to the grand jury, aiding and abetting each other and others, did knowingly provide and obtain the labor and services of the victims referenced in each respective count below, whose identities are known to the grand jury by any one of and by any combination of the following means. 1. Means of force, threats of force, physical restraint, and threats of physical restraint to that person and another person. 2. By means of serious harm and threats of serious harm to that person and another person. 3. By means of the abuse and threatened abuse of law and legal process. And 4. By means of any scheme, plan, and pattern intended to cause the person to believe that, if the person did not perform such labor and services, that person and another person would suffer serious harm and physical restraint, and attempted to do so. So count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as you can see. Defendant David Taylor, Michelle Brannon listed. Michelle Brannon is listed in 7 of them, and then 8 and 9 is just David Taylor. So the ones for just David Taylor says on or about 2009 through on or about 2018, and this one as well, on or about 2010 through on or about 2015. The rest, you could see the dates over there, approximate dates of forced labor. Victim 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 so far that they've got in this indictment. Okay, so it says count 10, money laundering conspiracy. D1, David Taylor. D2, Michelle Brannon. The general allegations and paragraphs 17 to 48 are included in this count. Beginning no later than 2018 and continuing through at least July 2025, in the Eastern District of Michigan and elsewhere, the defendants David Taylor and Michelle Brannon knowingly conspired and agreed with each other and with other persons and entities known and unknown to the grand jury to commit money laundering offenses against the United States in violation of Title 18, United States Code, all of that. Specifically, to knowingly engage and attempt to engage in a monetary transaction by, through, and to a financial institution affecting interstate commerce and foreign commerce in criminally derived property of a value greater than $10,000, said property being derived from specified unlawful activity. That is forced labor in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 1589, in violation of Title 18 in that code. Now, I did tell you in the beginning that there was a deposition that took place in 2015 when David and Michelle were accused of using $50,000 to upgrade a Mercedes-Benz. Michelle's deposition, I actually haven't seen his, but hers is on the channel I just showed you, that Cult Watch of this kingdom or whatever, right? I will link that channel in the description box for you. They've got lots of interesting clips and videos that they've been watching and collecting. And in that deposition, they've got a part 1, 2, 3 of Michelle Brannon. They say, so who lives in these properties? And she's like, yeah, people do live there. Oh, people live there. And what do they do? Oh, they volunteer. Okay. And what are their names? She's like, is it really necessary? Do I really have to tell you their names? And she's like, yeah. The police officer, yes, we would like to know. So yeah, already from, I think 2015, even though there were no charges then, I think that's really when the investigation started, when it's like, whoa, there's something major going on here. It just took time to be able to prove it, because they have to be able to prosecute this successfully, right? Now it says the manner and means of the conspiracy. The manner and means used to accomplish the objective of the conspiracy included, among others, the following. As a result of Taylor's and Brannon's commission of forced labor offenses in violation of Title 18 and those codes, Taylor and Brannon caused millions of dollars in proceeds of those forced labor offenses in the form of donations to be deposited into accounts held in the name of JMMI and KOGGC. Also in that deposition video, they ask about that. So was every donation, did you do the bookkeeping? Did you keep track of it? And Michelle Brannon said, well, if they filled in their donation envelopes, meaning the people that belong to their organization, you know, the believers that were there donating, all of that. If they filled in an envelope, yes, that if they're a little form envelope, then it would be tracked. If it was just cash, basically in baskets, yeah, no, that wouldn't be tracked. So, wow, looking at that in hindsight is also quite interesting. Millie Torres, thank you for your sticker. You said, as a Christian, this makes me so angry. I can imagine. And you said, people like these two clowns give the real ones a bad name. Yeah, so they do. But I mean, of course, they are not everyone is like that. This is a case of coercive control and therefore cult-like behavior and shame. These poor victims, my goodness. Taylor and Brannon, along with others known to the grand jury, were authorized signatories on the accounts held in the name of JMMI and KOGGC. Taylor and Brannon used the proceeds of the forced labor offenses and deposited into JMMI or KOGGC accounts for monetary transactions. 1, to support Taylor's extravagant lifestyle, and 2, to enrich Brannon. They were the only ones that got paid salaries out of all these donations as well. For example, Taylor and Brannon conspired to purchased, among other things, a boat, luxury cars, ATVs, and jet skis via monetary transactions, while knowing that these monetary transactions involved criminally derived property, and which transactions in fact involved proceeds of forced labor offenses committed in violation of those codes in amounts greater than $10,000. The monetary transactions described in the above 2 subparagraphs included the following transactions, and here you can just see some examples. Bulletproof automotive, okay, but like Mercedes-Benz, $63,000 plus, Bentley, Crown Line boat, Bentley Continental, Bentley, oh my word, just look at these cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, that's a boat. You can see many cars, some of the drone footage from, there's lots of clips as well in this case now, because everything's just like coming out now, especially since the indictment was unsealed. And these drone shots to show all these cars still with bows on it, like brand new cars. Like, what the heck, man? 5 ATVs, 2 jet skis and 1 jet ski trailer. St. Louis Power Sports, 2 jet skis, another jet ski trailer, 125 pounds. Oh my word, $10,353 worth of seafood? What? 125 pounds of super colossal red king crab legs, 6 seafood shears, and 30 crab cutters. Oh, while making sure that the workers that were bringing in the money, working hard round the clock and not being fed really except for PB&J, soup only, water, being starved, being deprived of sleep. But look at these, look at this. Wow. Rolls Royce as well. Okay, so criminal forfeiture allegations. David Taylor and Michelle Brannon. The above allegations contained in this indictment are included here for the purpose of alleging forfeiture pursuant to the provisions of that code upon conviction of the offences set forth. That's what we want to know. Stefan says 125 pounds of crab legs? Yes. Whoa. Upon conviction of the offences set forth in counts 1 through 9 of this indictment, defendants David Taylor and Michelle Brannon shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to that code. It says D1 and 2, any property. Oh, forfeited. Okay, nice. We like the sound of that. Any property, real or personal, that was involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of such violation, and any property traceable to such property, pursuant to 18 U.S.C. that code, and any property, real or personal, that constitutes or is derived from any proceeds obtained, directly or indirectly, as a result of such violation, or any property traceable to such property. Yeah, they just lost everything. Thank goodness. Upon conviction of the offence in violation of set forth in count 10 of this indictment, the defendants David Taylor and Michelle Brannon shall forfeit to the United States of America pursuant to any property, real or personal, involved in such offence, or any property traceable to such property. Forfeiture includes, but is not limited to, a forfeiture money judgment against defendants David Taylor and Michelle Brannon in favor of the United States in an amount representing the gross proceeds obtained by each defendant as a result of their respective violations of counts 1 through 9 of this indictment, and B, a sum of money equal to the value of the property involved in the respective violations of count 10 of this indictment. If any of the property described above as a result of any act or omission of the defendants, A, cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred or sold or deposited with a third party, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, has been substantially diminished in value, or has been commingled with other property which cannot be divided without difficulty, the United States of America shall be entitled to forfeiture of substitute property. They won't take everything back, right? Okay, so we've got all of this as well. That's page 23, and we are done with that document. So yes, that is those are the details of the case. And just to quickly show you what I said to you earlier, just the freaking bio of this guy. Apostle, self-proclaimed, hey? David E. Taylor describes himself in the following way. David E. Tayller is the head of, oh, not anymore, okay, anyway, of Joshua Media Ministries International, a global outreach movement committed to establishing God's kingdom through the, well, now we see the truth, hey? Through the proclamation and demonstration of the gospel. Celebrating 30 years of ministry, David E. Taylor has made an indelible imprint throughout his community, the United States, and around the world. Yeah, criminal. He's a strong advocate for the youth in this country. I don't think so. Okay, because of his experience and life lessons. Oh. In 1989, at the age of 17, David E. Taylor was living a worldly and gangster lifestyle on the streets of Memphis when Jesus Christ first appeared to him in a dream during the Christmas season. This experience changed his life forever, just as Paul experienced a radical conversion when he met Jesus on the road to Damascus. David E. Taylor was also radically converted when Jesus appeared to him. He immediately left the gang life that he was living and began preaching about the Lord. His initial appearance from Jesus led to a face-to-face relationship and ministry that is detailed in the best-selling book, Face-to-Face Appearances from Jesus, The Ultimate Intimacy. Out of this face-to-face relationship, the global miracle and healing ministry was birthed, touching millions around the world. I'm not going to read the rest. I'm just showing you how he talks about himself, right? So it's pretty nauseating, is it not? I'm glad they caught them, even if it took 10 years, however long it took a long time to actually get to them. Now, there's lots of other clips, to look at. We don't want to be here forever. This case can be quite the rabbit hole. I will most certainly keep you posted on what happens next. I do hope that other victims do feel brave to come forward, to contact the FBI or the authorities in charge, all of that. It's listed on their website as well, which I've linked below. So they do say like this. They've got numbers here, which I'll link this source, it is the justice.gov site. So Office of Public Affairs, U.S. Department of Justice, and they call it 2 self-professed religious leaders who used physical and psychological abuse to coerce victims to solicit tens of millions of dollars in donations, federally charged and arrested. That is how they worded that. They could not have phrased that better, besides calling them maybe degenerates like they called everyone else. 2 degenerates, big-ass liars, criminals locked away, finally. Liars of note. I mean, I just don't... these types of people make me so angry. So I will link this for you. You can also actually find the indictment right here too if you click on this. And so here they also relay the story, but everything about the case that we know so far is pretty much in that indictment, and it's horrifying. Here as well, they've got who invested the case and where you can who you can contact, right? Okay, Monica B said, thanks for covering this, G. It's so important to talk about this topic. For many, if or when they leave, they suffer such shame. Wow, that's terrible. That's why I think that's why I say it's a long road to recovery, because of that coercive control. And they could actually fall into similar situations if they're not careful, which is why I like to do my best to educate on the topic if I can. I'm no expert, but I do like to read as much as possible. I've done courses on coercive control with an expert, Laura Richards. Her channel is called Crime Analyst, and so is her podcast. And yeah, it's an eye-opener. Once you see the patterns, you're like, whoa, my goodness. So yeah, let's see what happens with these. And in the meantime, everyone, stay safe. Have a wonderful whatever time it is for you. Thank you, mods, for everything you do. And I look forward to reading your comments below. All right, everyone. See you soon. Bye.